Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bug Discussions podcast, the channel, man. Yo, whatever you want to call it. It is your boy Jay Coop, man, back with another discussion, you feel me? And in this video, man, I kind of just want to go over the Brooklyn Nets free agency, man, just because I feel like they have a lot of stuff to talk about when you're talking about the free agents and just, you know, kind of how they went out in this year's playoffs, you know what I'm saying? The disappointing fashion they went out in. So, yeah, man, without any more waiting, man, let's get straight into this video so I can, you know, talk to you guys about the free agents that I think that they should bring back and free agents I think they should go out there and try to sign. So, without further ado, man, let's get straight into it.
Hey, yo, foreigner, you crazy for this one.
Okay. Yeah, that thing I'm jab riding when I'm left hooking. Fiends say they love me cause they know I keep that sack moving. Sad to say, but this the life that I have grew in. I had to hustle, skipping class, man, I was true in. I can flip some packs and teach you how to do it. This the real deal. Better watch your back cause people will kill. Kill Bill, kill switch on the Glock. Yeah, this the real. And people spin around them blocks just like a Ferris wheel. But that's enough of that. Let me tell you about my life and where I grew up at. I grew up in the south of Topeka. Then I moved to the east in the streets and I ain't fucking with neither. I ain't the type to go with killer, go and sit on that block. I'm the type to get some trees.
So I think the first thing we should talk about when it does come to this Brooklyn Nets free agency is being their biggest free agent in Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie Irving has a player option that he can opt into if he decides to. But for the Brooklyn Nets side of things, I definitely think it is smart that they're trying to explore more options that they can get for Kyrie Irving. Because if you look at the Brooklyn Nets on paper, even without Kyrie Irving on that team, this team is definitely still good enough to make a playoff push for sure. So I think if they ended up, you know, trading Kyrie Irving for maybe a guard that's obviously not to Kyrie's talents, but, you know, one that can withstand his own ground, you know what I'm saying, and just fill out the rest of the teams, the holes that are in the rest of the team, I definitely believe that this team could, you know, come back next year and have something to look forward to, you know what I'm saying. But for Kyrie Irving's side of things, man, Kyrie Irving was owed $34.1 million over the 2021 and the 2022 NBA season. So obviously that's a decent amount of money, but we're talking about one of the top tier talents in the league. So that is just to be expected, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he does have a player option that he can opt into, which is definitely real debatable because obviously Kyrie Irving, you don't know how much money that you will make in the rest of your career, you know what I'm saying? I believe Kyrie Irving is like anywhere from 28, 29 to 30, somewhere around that age, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like him opting into this contract would definitely be smart on his part just because, like I said, you're never guaranteed that much money in the rest of your career, you know what I'm saying? You never know what could happen, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I definitely see why the Brooklyn Nets are trying to explore trade options or just seeing what they can do, you know what I'm saying? Because there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors talking about Kyrie Irving potentially being traded to the Lakers, potentially being traded to the Clippers or something like that, just so the Brooklyn Nets can, you know, get that contract off the books and just put more pieces around Kevin Durant. But on the other side of things, we don't really know how Kevin Durant would feel about that, you know what I'm saying? So the Brooklyn Nets are probably trying to conversate with Kevin Durant, trying to see how he feels about maybe potentially trading Kyrie Irving for more depth, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. So for the next free agent I want to talk about when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets is going to go ahead and be Patty Mills. Patty Mills, if you ask me, was one of the most underrated signings that we had over the 2021 and the 2022 free agency. Just because I feel like the money that he was given and all things considering when it comes to the things that he can do on the court for an NBA winning team, I feel like it was just an offer that the Brooklyn Nets couldn't pass up, you know what I'm saying? Patty Mills was owed $6 million over the 2021 and the 2022 NBA season. So, like I said, man, when you're talking about everything that Patty Mills provides, I feel like $6 million really isn't really shit for a player like Patty Mills, you know what I'm saying? He was definitely a big contributor to a lot of the success the Brooklyn Nets had this year. It's not like they had a lot, you know what I'm saying? They got eliminated in the first round. They got swept in the first round. But while Kevin Durant was, you know, dealing with injuries this season, while Kyrie Irving was in and out of the lineup this season due to the COVID restrictions, due to injuries, all that nonsense, and then even having James Harden in and out of the lineup due to injury, and then him getting traded halfway through the season, you know what I'm saying, to the Philadelphia 76ers. I feel like Patty Mills, man, he did everything that he was supposed to do, everything that he could, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Patty Mills. I think if the Brooklyn Nets end up deciding to move on from Kyrie Irving, and I feel like if they end up deciding to bring back Patty Mills, I think that would be a perfect replacement for a hole that Kyrie Irving created on this team if he does leave, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that would be a perfect filler for the Brooklyn Nets if Kyrie does decide to leave, you know what I'm saying? So the next free agent I want to talk about when it comes to this Brooklyn Nets team is going to go ahead and be Bruce Brown. So like I was talking about with Patty Mills, man, I think Patty Mills provided everything that the Brooklyn Nets needed, and that's very similar to Bruce Brown, you know what I'm saying? Bruce Brown, while the Brooklyn Nets were dealing with injuries and the COVID restrictions and all that, you know what I'm saying? While Kyrie Irving was in and out of the lineup, Bruce Brown was there picking up some of the slack for the Brooklyn Nets as well, you know what I'm saying? And everything considering when you're talking about what Bruce Brown did for this team over the season, I feel like you guys would be doing your guys' self a huge favor by bringing him back, you know what I'm saying? Bruce Brown is definitely one of the most versatile players on this lineup, if you ask me, because there was times this season where they had Bruce Brown playing the power forward and stuff like that. A matter of fact, I think that was his primary position in the playoffs. So, and everyone knows going against the Boston Celtics, they're a pretty lanky lineup. So having Bruce Brown play the power forward is definitely a risky move. So, and I feel like he didn't do too bad. You know what I'm saying? There was a couple things he probably could have done better, but like I said, everything considering, man, Bruce Brown is definitely a very serviceable NBA player. You know what I'm saying? I definitely feel like if you guys bring him back, he would also fill a little bit of the holes that are in your guys' team, especially defensively. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, that's pretty much it for Bruce Brown. I definitely think if you guys can bring him back on the same kind of contract y'all had him on this year, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that would definitely be great for the Brooklyn Nets. He was only owed $4.7 million over the 2021 and the 2022 NBA season. So, yeah, man, that's a serviceable contract for your team, you know what I'm saying? But that pretty much does it for Bruce Brown. So the next free agent we're going to go ahead and talk about for the Brooklyn Nets is going to go ahead and be Lamarcus Aldridge. So everyone knows that Lamarcus Aldridge was dealing with some type of heart condition about a year ago, and that's kind of when he announced his retirement. But then just recently, within the past, I want to say like 6 to 8 months, this season, he decided to come back, make a resurgence in his NBA career, and he came back to the Brooklyn Nets, and he was providing a decent amount of, mid-range shooting, all of that for the Brooklyn Nets, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, Lamarcus Aldridge this season is going to go ahead and be an unrestricted free agent, so he could pretty much make any decision he wants to. He can go ahead and sign with whoever he wants to, you know what I'm saying, do whatever he wants. But if I was a Brooklyn Nets man, and you're talking about Lamarcus Aldridge, a player who can stretch the floor, you know what I'm saying, he's a very versatile NBA player, especially being a veteran in this league. I feel like it's kind of important to have some type of veteran leadership on your team, regardless if he's productive on the court or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at the Miami Heat with Udonis Haslem. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really get minutes, but he's still there coaching up the young fellas. You feel me? So, yeah, man, I think it would be really smart for the Brooklyn Nets to bring back Lamarcus Aldridge. You know what I'm saying? Just providing that space on the floor while also providing that veteran leadership for the young guys on the team, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, that pretty much does it for Lamarcus Aldridge. I think it would be a very decent signing if they decided to bring him back, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So the next free agent I want to talk about when it comes to this Brooklyn Nets team is going to go ahead and be Andre Drummond. This is who I personally believe may be one of their biggest free agents this offseason, just considering all the things he provides for this team, you know what I'm saying? Before Andre Drummond got traded to the Brooklyn Nets this season, he was really killing it with the Philadelphia 76ers. He was looking like one of the most, predominant big men off the bench, you know what I'm saying, behind Joel Embiid. So I feel like all things considering, all the things that Andre Drummond provides when it comes to the interior presence, the interior defense, I feel like the Brooklyn Nets would just be shooting themselves in the foot by not bringing Andre Drummond back, especially on the deal that he was given this season, you know what I'm saying? Andre Drummond was only guaranteed $2.4 million over the 2021 and the 2022 NBA season. So, I mean, that is obviously a pretty serviceable contract for your team, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you have two star players on your team like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and you guys are also trying to bring more stars to more talent to your team. So, bringing Andre Drummond back just, it does yourself a huge favor because it provides a little bit more of more interior defense for your guys' team, and it also it's a team-friendly contract. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, $2.4 million really is not shit in this league. So especially considering when you're talking about a player like Andre Drummond, you know what I'm saying? But for the next free agent, I do want to talk about when it comes to the Nets is going to be Goran Dragic, because Goran Dragic is a lot of you guys seen in this playoffs. when they were going up against the Boston Celtics, man, he was one of their biggest contributors in that series. I know they got swept. I know they lost in 4. But the time that Goran Dragic was playing, he was definitely one of the biggest contributors while he was on the court, you know what I'm saying? And he really was not paid that much money over the 2021 and the 22 NBA season, man. He was only guaranteed $728,000. So, yeah, man, that's really not a lot of money in today's NBA, you know what I'm saying? So, but hey, man, that pretty much wraps up all the Brooklyn Nets free agents. But I want to go ahead and talk about the free agents that I think personally that the Brooklyn Nets should go out and try to sign. Maybe if Kyrie Irving doesn't come back, or if he gets traded, or whatever happens, you know what I'm saying? But the first free agent I think the Brooklyn Nets should go out and sign is going to go ahead and be Miles Bridges, man. I think Miles Bridges would provide everything that this Brooklyn Nets team kind of needs, you know what I'm saying? When you're talking about perimeter defense, which is something that the Brooklyn Nets really are not too fond on or too big on, you know what I'm saying? Just defense in general, because like I was saying earlier with Andre Drummond, they really don't even have interior defense as it is as well, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like bringing Miles Bridges in would kind of help, you know, I don't want to say change the culture, because Miles Bridges is still a young player himself. But like I said, he is an ascending young player, so he's always getting better. He's always, you know, improving, whether it's the offensive side of the court, the defensive side of the court. I feel like there just isn't much that Miles Bridges wouldn't be able to provide for this Brooklyn Nets team, if you ask me personally, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I think he would be a perfect fit for this team. But another free agent that I think would be perfect for the Brooklyn Nets, which is a free agent that a lot of teams are talking about, a lot of teams are, you know, trying to get their hands on, and that is going to be DeAndre Ayton, you know what I'm saying? DeAndre Ayton obviously probably doesn't fit the timeline for this Brooklyn Nets team like that, but I mean, he's still a serviceable NBA player that could be put into almost any NBA system right now and contribute like an NBA All-Star that he almost is, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I think DeAndre Ayton, pretty much, you know, similar to Andre Drummond, I think he would provide everything Andre Drummond provides for this Brooklyn Nets team, but to an even higher extent, you know what I'm saying? Because DeAndre Ayton, he's definitely a problem on the offensive side of the court, you know what I'm saying? He can give you some buckets as well, and then on the defensive side of the court, he's a 7-footer that can block shots. He can move his feet pretty fast. So I feel like he would provide everything the Brooklyn Nets need as well, especially when it comes to that perimeter or that interior defense that they need, you know what I'm saying? Because that's one thing that they definitely were lackluster in this season, and just defense in general, like I was saying. So yeah, man, that pretty much wraps the Brooklyn Nets free agency up as a whole, you feel me? So those are pretty much all the players I think that they should, you know, bring back on their team, and also other free agents I think that they should go out there and sign. So yeah, man, if you guys liked this video, if you guys found it useful, informational in any type of way, man, make sure to leave it a thumbs up, because it really helps us over at the Bucket Discussions podcast get our videos out to the YouTube algorithm just a little bit more, you feel me? We're just trying to build our own little basketball community, like I do always like to say, you feel me? So yeah, man, make sure to keep loving the game of basketball. Make sure to stay safe out here, man. And hey, man, until next time, peace.
In the jungle like I'm Conan, kind of with both hands. Switch the flow like it was broken. I'm on the road, man, making plays just like DeRozan. I shoot my shot, and that shit wetter than the ocean. I brag a lot, but with the wind and come the boast in. I made a lot from them.